All right, we're up. What's up, Magnetic Men Club? We are back here on another Friday Live with y'all. Hopefully you guys can see us right now. Hopefully we're not having any technical difficulties, but we'll work through everything as we go. But today's topic is all about wokeness and people subscribing to the woke ideology. Really, it means something different to the left than it does to the right. Obviously, it's kind of a really keeps us split as a society. That's the big thing. Like you're either on this side or you're on that side. There's no in between. And so that's one big thing we wanted to talk about today, because we were actually talking about this in our group the other day. Jared actually made a post about this. We had a lot of the members of the group actually get in on the conversation. Hopefully they're here today. They can continue to get in on the conversation, but we just wanted to talk a little bit more about what that means and why so many kids are subscribing to this woke culture, really what it means, where it started, and kind of where it's going. I'm Chase. This is my cousin Jared here.
Hey kids, welcome back. Appreciate you joining in. Yeah, I think I posted the question more so what are the reasons why young people seem to just gravitate towards this woke ideology, but it's also, I'm 49. I wouldn't say my age group, but certainly some people in my age group, but what is it about this wokeness? And Chase did a little bit of research. I'm going to let him lead on this. Like, where did woke come from? Because you brought up some good points in our discussion we had privately, and I kind of maybe we got to start there. Like, how did this even start? Because it's not just. It seems to have gotten worse, but like anything else, it's a pendulum. It's getting worse, and then it's going to swing back. But when did this start?
So yeah, I mean, it's been a thing for ages, obviously. I mean, it's almost 100 years this term has been around. Like it started in the 1930s, as far as I can tell. And I used to be in this group, this Alpha Male Strategies group. I'm actually still in that group. But I would see this guy in there posting all the time. And like every single thing he would comment, every single thing he would post in that group, he always had this appended, "stay woke" at the end of it. And he basically... a lot of people would come in, like it was polarizing. Like obviously some people thought one thing of it, other people thought another thing of it. This guy obviously had left-leaning politics and stuff too, and so he's saying stay woke on everything, but I'm not sure that's what he really meant with it. I think he had the original meaning behind it when he actually put it out there, and it was derived from African-American vernacular back in the early 1930s. It was actually coined in a book. I forget the guy that wrote the book, but he basically just coined the phrase "stay woke" because it was meant for bringing awareness to oppression and inequalities, especially when it came to racism and stuff back then, which made sense for a lot of the black culture. And so that's where the term really comes from. That's what it means for a lot of these guys in a lot of cases. Over time, back in like maybe 2008, they started using it for political campaigns. They started using it in the early 2010s, and it became really this thing to kind of coincide with like social inequalities and social injustices. And so a lot of the left-leaning people started like grabbing onto it, like with Black Lives Matter and that kind of stuff too. That stuff came out, and they started to basically use it in every single facet of anything that represented sexism, racism, LGBT, climate change, social injustices, all that stuff. It just came to basically encompass a lot of left-leaning ideologies.
So the word like woke, is it an acronym for anything that you know of in research, or is it just a blanket word that everyone now is thrown in to this ideology? Like, oh, this is the woke person. So like, for instance, we have Black Lives.
I don't think it's an acronym, but a lot of it has to do with the fact that like people are sleeping. Like we're all part of this herd mentality. We're all sheep, and we need to wake up and see what's really going on. And I think that's really what they're using it for.
So I want to just make sure I get it right. So this is from the left's perspective that what used to work in the past, the forces of justice, the progress we made in the past, now all of those people were asleep. And now these are the enlightened people that are trying to wake us up to all of the injustices that happened in the past.
That is the way they're kind of looking at it. It's kind of like looking at people who are oppressing people now. And obviously they look at traditional values and people who hold traditional values, people who live in a traditional way. They see that as oppressive because people, white. If you're white and a man, then you've been oppressing people for millennia. You've been oppressing women. You've been oppressing black people. You've been oppressing anybody who's gay. And so you're the enemy. And that's kind of the way they start looking at it. So they start attacking traditional values because they look at religion like it's attacking them and oppressing them and that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense. And it's more of a hijack thing. So I guess I look at it this way. It's like I'm a 49-year-old white heterosexual male, and I lean right for most of my political viewpoints, but I'm not always right. Sometimes I do agree. The way I view wokeness is the left or people who lean left, anything that hurts their feelings in some manner, they either use kind of what women do: shame, guilt, insults, the need to be right, name calling, all in the name of just to get not even their point across, but just to almost beat you down. So either you agree with me, even though I have no fucking logic, just agree with me,
Right.
and we start beating on you. That's how I view woke. It's like because you can't talk to these people. I call them libtards. And if you guys are liberal, fuck you. I don't care. Get off my channel. I really don't care. My point is, like, I try to have arguments and just talk to them. Like, okay, so tell me again why I'm wrong and you're right. And then they get all pissed. And as soon as they start getting mad and call you names, now you know you're winning. You're like, you don't even, so I look at, they don't even have a viewpoint. They don't even know why they're saying this.
Right.
It just feels good to say it because all their friends are woke. Like they don't have, now they have the herd mentality.
That's exactly what I got from my research, was the fact that it's kind of like a hive mind. It's like a herd mentality. Like they all have to believe the same thing. And if you don't believe what I believe, you are my enemy. Like there's no in between. I cannot hear your side of the story. I cannot hear your point of view. There's no way. Like if you don't believe what I believe, you are my enemy. And so that's really kind of like the differing views. Because like when I went through this, like the differing views, depending on whether you're left leaning or right leaning, like whether you're liberal or conservative, whether you're progressive or whatever, right? There's all that stuff going on. You're going to have a different view of wokeness depending on whether you fall on this side or the other side. And so basically what's happening is like left-leaning people kind of see it as an awareness of systematic injustice. They see it as like bringing awareness to oppression, to inequality, having more compassion and being more accepting of minority groups and that kind of stuff. And so that's what they see. Sure. Most of the time, they're just pandering to it. Like most of the time, they're just pandering to people for Black Lives Matter. They're just pandering to LGBTQ communities, that kind of stuff. Like a lot of the time, they don't really believe what they believe. They don't really believe that they're being accepting and being compassionate to these people. They're pandering to it because they want to be the victims with them. They figure like, if I'm on your side, then we're all victims. And a lot of it is just them not taking ownership of anything in their lives. Like everything is somebody else's fault. It's all outwards. Like they don't want to take ownership. They don't want to have to actually fix anything in their own lives. And so if they have the same problems as this oppressed minority, then if they support this oppressed minority, then they're one of them. They're oppressing us. They're keeping us down. They won't let us up. We got to make changes to this thing. And so that's really what it's becoming on that side. And then from there, you have the right views. That's like it's hardcore left-leaning politics. It demonizes anyone representing traditional values, like we discussed. It's forcing a divisive and destructive ideology. And so if you look at movies and stuff like that too, like a lot of the time, like the media is really pushing this woke culture. Like in big movies and shows, like they have to have some kind of gay couple in every single thing. They have to make traditionally white characters black or whatever, right? So that's the thing too, is like it's not realistic. It's like not actually grounded in reality. So it's obvious that they're pandering to these groups, and it's happening across all Western cultures. And it undermines and chips away at the foundations of our culture. And that's kind of the way that the right people look at this. Like you're undermining our culture. You're undermining where we came from. This is not a realistic view. And at the same time, it's equality and bringing attention to inequalities isn't bad, right? Like bringing the attention to the inequalities and making sure that minorities are heard, making sure that we're aware of these things. It's not an inherently bad thing. It's the way that they approach it. They're kind of arrogant about it, right? They're condescending. They browbeat you and like look at you like, oh, you believe that? well, if you believe that, you must be this. They start gaslighting, right? Then they start doing the name calling. They start being really arrogant with all of these different things, and they won't see your side. And so that's the biggest problem, is the fact that we can't have a conversation about this, because if I don't completely submit to what you are telling me, then basically I'm your enemy, and I'm the one who's oppressing you. And so that's kind of the way that everybody's starting to look at it. We can't even have conversations and bring real awareness to these things, which only further hurts the people that they say they're helping. Because now nobody wants to hear their issues. It's all being shoved down our throats. And like, we're just completely more tone deaf to it on both sides than we've ever been, because these guys are just pandering. And so a lot of the time, that's what this has come to represent. So believe what we believe, or you are our enemy. That's kind of what it comes down to. There's no acceptance. There's no in between. There's no differing points of views. And it's just this big hive mind mentality. And as soon as you don't believe what the hive mind believes, as soon as you don't submit to the herd, you're the enemy. You got to get out of here. We can't talk to you. You're completely oppressing everybody. You're the bad person. And so they start calling you names, and they don't even know how to defend it, because they don't stand for anything. They don't actually have any kind of purpose behind it. It's just that they want to be a victim. They don't want to take ownership. They don't want to fix anything themselves. They have to be oppressed because they have to be a victim. There has to be an enemy.
Well, I would seem to think if somebody's being a victim, or saying they're a victim, or saying they're oppressed, that's where their power comes from.
Exactly.
You know, that they feel that they are powerless against the system, or this, whatever it is. And so their power comes in their victimhood. And if they get enough people to agree with their victimhood, or their idea of victimhood, then they have power, or then they're in a position to do something about it. And it's kind of like, to me, I always look at it as like, how are you gonna, you don't sway people this way. You don't sway people by publicly shaming them, giving them guilt and insult because they have a different viewpoint. And this is where I think a lot of like the woke culture, they immediately go there. If you just say, hey, like, I totally believe that, you know, if you believe it, that gay people can be married, and they're like, yeah, and go on. What about this and this? I'm like, well, no, I just, okay,
It's
you
like
guys
they
want
want you to apologize for the entire history of oppression, right?
right. Well, that's the thing, is like, you want us to apologize and atone for the mistakes of our fathers or our grandfathers, or, you know, so we're not, it's not us, it's who we represent. So I'm a white man. That means everything that happened to, let's say, the black community 300 years ago is my fault. Like, look at, I didn't ever put anybody in slavery, so I don't give a fuck what you think. I just don't. And it's the same way with LGBTQ plus RZZ, whatever the fuck they're called now. It's like, okay, if you talk to a lot of just gay men, or just lesbian women, or mostly gay men, they don't even want to be associated with this shit anymore. They're like, dude, I'm just a gay man. I'm not dressing up as a girl, pretending I'm a girl. They're actually attacking groups of people that just want to be left alone. They're doing it with gay, not all gay men, but I mean, most gay men that I've talked to, they don't want this shit. They're like, I don't want to be part of this crap. Just live my life. Like, I want to. So it's like they hijack all of these inequities in society, and they hijack them all, and they get everybody on this victimhood train. And I don't understand though how the powers that be, and I do understand because they're fucking women basically. They have no backbone. They don't tell these people to shut the fuck up. Like, what the hell? They pander, like you said, they pander to this group, and then they create laws and have these pride field days and all this shit. It's like, look, at the majority of people don't want this, but you're allowing a whole month of this crap. Like, I don't understand. How did you get a month of this gay pride LGBT? How the fuck did you get a whole month?
Well, that's the thing too. Is like, if I don't agree with you on any one point of this, like any one part, any one little thing, then I'm automatically a misogynist. I'm automatically a
Absolutely.
racist. I'm automatically against like all these different things. And it's like, I'm just the worst person in the world. And it's like, we didn't even talk about any of the other things. Like, how do you know that I'm against any of that stuff? I'm like, you completely just pigeonhole all of it. Like, if I disagree with you on any one point, you won't hear my point about it. We can't have a logical discussion about it, and I'm automatically the oppressor. I'm automatically the white freaking male who's oppressing everybody on earth because that's what white males do. And it's like most of these guys are white people, and they're just pandering to these groups a lot of the time, and they're just, like I said, they're hurting the message that they're trying to have heard because they just want to be victims. They don't want to take any ownership. Like, they really just want to be victims with all these people. They want to be victimized.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've never really heard a lot of them come up with, okay, well, what's the solution? Oh, I don't know. Like, I'm just a victim. I haven't gotten that far to the solution. And I think it's coming back to normal a little bit now. I think we kind of hit where that pendulum has went far right. I think it's starting to come back to normalcy a little bit because people are getting tired of fucking listening to it, like you said. We're
Yeah.
getting tired of it being crammed down our throat. We're getting tired of all of this new think. And so hopefully, you know, they always say the loudest dog or the smallest dog barks or whatever. They stop chirping, they stop barking when nobody listens to them anymore. Then they calm down. They're like, oh,
That's the big thing. Like, we want to get
maybe
back.
I'm not a victim anymore, you know?
We want to get back to reality because, like, a lot of the
Yeah.
things that they're out here spitting, like, it's irrational. Like, the way that you think that people are being oppressed is entirely irrational. Like, women aren't oppressed the way they used to be. Like, minorities aren't oppressed the way they used to be. Like, the U.S. is probably one of the fairest countries in the world. The entire North American continent is probably one of the fairest places you could possibly be in the world. And it's the same thing for Europe. Like, people are not oppressed in the same way that they used to be oppressed, but they want to look at it like they are. They want to look at it like slavery is still, going around. Everybody's still being enslaved, and women are still being oppressed, and they're not making as much money as their male counterparts. And, like, they want to keep pushing this inequality when, in fact, things are more equal than they've ever been for almost anybody in the spectrum. And so that's the biggest thing, is understanding that we're pushing equality so much that it's becoming unequal on the other side. They don't want to hear about that. They don't want to talk about that. Nobody wants to create any groups or any kind of funding for that, because the fact of the matter is men, they're not graduating at the same rate as women. And that gap is huge now. And the biggest thing, too, is understanding that, people are sick of hearing about this. Like, they don't want to boycott this, boycott that. That's another big part that came out of this, was the cancel culture and the outrage culture. They're just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, waiting for something to be pissed off at. And you can see it on Facebook, man. Like, every day, every 2 days, there's something that people are pissed off about. A lot of the thing is the Olympic stuff right now. Like, there was that boxer that was going on the other day, and everybody's mad about that. And then you have, like, all of the Olympic, like the way that they're, like, pushing religion and that stuff too. And, like, at the same time, like, a lot of people just, like, are sick of all the outrage. Like, why do we have to be mad about every little thing one way or the other? These guys are just looking for reasons to be pissed. And like I said, I'm not saying that nobody has a point here. Everybody has a point. Every single one of these guys do have a point. We're just tired of it being our entire feed. We're tired of it being like the only thing that we talk about with friends, at work, whatever, because everybody's so outraged all the time about this or that. And it's like, dude, I have my own problems. I live in my reality. I've got things that I've got to worry about. I don't have time to sit and be pissed off about all these little things.
I know. And that's where I think a lot of people, and that's kind of why I preface it on Facebook saying, why is it mostly young people? And a lot of it has to do with, they just have fucking time. Like, a lot of them seem to not be doing much with their life. So if you don't do a lot with your life, you tend to look around to see what's wrong, and you tend to victimize yourself. Like, I can't get a job. It has nothing to do with, I got a degree in underwater basket weaving or gender studies, I can't get a job. It has nothing to do with, the shit that I learned in college is completely irrelevant in the real world. Now I'm oppressed. Now I want the, federal government to wipe off my student loans. That's a big thing. And then what you have, so it's always like you said, it always seems to me, if there's a problem in your life, then it has to be somebody else's problem who's keeping you down.
You're being oppressed.
And we used to have tools for this, back in the day. We used to be able to do what's called arguing, a level of persuasion, Now arguing is you ask a question. Oh, you're a bigot. If you have to ask me that, I can't believe you're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a racist. It's like,
Gaslighting.
because I asked a question exactly. So that this is what they're doing now. They're taking this argument, and that's usually how we further society along. You have a persuasive argument, you get enough people around your persuasive argument, like, yeah, that actually makes sense. And here's a good way that we can implement this. And this is how things used to work. Now they throw that right the fuck out. We're just going to call you all of these names. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to do one better. We're going to publicly shame you. I can't believe you would even ask this question that, am I qualified for this job? How dare you, sir? How dare you?
And that's what they did.
Are
Then
you
they'll start calling
qualified?
for your job. And it's like, if they don't fire you, we're going to boycott you if you don't fire this person right away because something they just asked because they clearly believe this. And it's like, this is insane. Like, how is society coming to this? Like, it's insane to call for somebody's job because of a question they asked, because of something they said, because of something they posted. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, now that so some of the other tools that I've kind of come up with that you see in real time all the time is, facts now are replaced with feelings. Doesn't matter. I factually just beat you in the argument. I hurt your feelings. It shouldn't be this way because my feelings are hurt. Your ideas are now replaced with identity. Forgiveness is replaced with punishment. Debate is now replaced by just deplatform him. Fuck it. Like, he's beating us in debate. He's not able. I can't make a solid argument with him. Let's just deplatform him because this person is not subscribing to my ideology and he's hurting my feels. So let's just deplatform him. Diversity is now replaced with, which is called homogeneity of thought, which is just inclusion is now with exclusion. I can include you by now excluding other people. It's like, how can't we just have a conversation, two sides?
The biggest problem with it is if you're not on this side, you're on this side. There's nothing in between.
Exactly.
Black and white completely now. And at the same time, like, it hurts our freedom of speech to no end. Like, we almost don't even have freedom of speech anymore. These guys can't even speak up anymore. And in a lot of cases, the real victims who they claim to be supporting and championing, their problems are now hurt by this too. And so now they're less heard than they've ever been. Nobody wants to speak up. Nobody wants to talk because they don't want to be canceled. They don't want the outrage. They don't want to catch all the flack. They don't want to lose their jobs. They don't want to lose their families. And so they just don't even talk anymore. They don't even speak up. They don't say anything anymore. They don't want to argue with anything. They don't want to post anything online. There's like I said, we ran into this when we first started Magnetic Men Club, where they were censoring us like crazy. They were censoring every post we put out. They were censoring our group. They threatened to tear our group down because we were only having men in there. That, like, you got to accept women, that kind of stuff too. Like, they were giving us actual warnings because of this. There's certain things we can and cannot say on these platforms. We are being censored left and right. That is not freedom of speech because we're too scared that these people over here, this minority group, will freak out if we don't do exactly what they ask us to do. Yeah. And so that's the big thing too, is understanding that we have power on both sides. So on one side of this, these guys have their power. On the other side of this, we have our power. And so the biggest thing is it's creating this huge cancel culture and outrage culture on both sides. The right's pissed off about this. The left is pissed off about this. We don't want to piss these guys off. We don't want to piss these guys off. And so let's just not say anything at all. Or let's just like try and be somewhere in the middle if we can. And if you're in the middle, people are outraged about that now. Like, I saw one guy, one big YouTuber, his name's Moist Critical. He came out the other day because of a big scandal that he had going on. And I'm like, what is the scandal? Oh, the scandal is that he doesn't speak up on other people's scandals fast enough. And it's like, holy shit. Yeah. He doesn't speak on it fast enough. And so now we're mad at him because he didn't come out with a video condemning it fast enough. What the hell is that shit? Are you kidding me? Like, this is really where we're coming to as a society. This is really where it's going. And like I said, all it does is stifle our real freedom of speech. And all it really does is make real victims silent. And it creates a climate of fear and division. And that's the biggest thing that's going on here is everybody wants to be oppressed. There has to be an oppressor. I have to be a victim. And it prioritizes left ideologies a lot when it comes to the woke culture. But at the same time, too, there's power on both sides. And so social media is censoring us on this side, the government's censoring us on this side, and then on this side, we're basically go woke, go broke, right? I was doing some research on that. When you go woke, you go broke. I saw that Disney lost an estimated $1.3 billion in 2023 because they keep pushing so much left, so much woke ideology, so much of the stuff that's going on with like I said, every character has to either be black, every character has to be a lesbian, every character has to be gay, all that stuff, and they're just shoving it down your throats. And at the same time, too, like all these women protagonists that nobody asked for. Like women didn't ask for women protagonists in action movies. They don't care about action movies. They're not the consumer of them. And so most of the time you'll have this woke woman character. She's obviously a lesbian. She obviously has the crew cut. And she's the most arrogant, condescending person on the planet. And nobody likes her. Guys don't like her. Women don't like her. Gay men, women, nobody likes her. Nobody even wants to watch these movies. They didn't ask for it. So they don't go see the movie. And then everybody looks at it like, oh, well, you know, everybody's so against the woke culture that they can't accept this. And it's like, nobody asked for it. And so that's why Disney is losing $1.3 billion in 2023. And then you have Budweiser, who came out with their woke, all their ads, all the stuff they put in there with the trans girl, all that stuff. They lost $1.4 billion last year. They lost 16% of their market share. It was 26% at its peak, but they lost 16%. Coors picked up 16%. That means they're never getting those customers back. And so that hurt them massively year over year. We haven't even seen the repercussions of that yet, but they lost $1.4 billion in 2023. Target, same thing. Their whole marketing campaign around that stuff too. They lost $1.7 billion in 2023. A whole 1.6% of their overall profits. They lost $1.7 billion, and their market share dropped about 30%. And so they're never going to recover from that either. They might recover to some extent, same way as Nike when they went and put Colin Kaepernick as their guy pretty much, and they lost a whole bunch of money because of that too. And so like I said, I mean, that coined the term, go woke, go broke. A lot of people are saying that stuff now too because all these companies have a woke agenda, and then they lose money because of it. Because
a lot of them are starting to go. A lot of them are starting to pull back on that. I mean, they go really hard during Gay Pride Month, but then they're all straight again after that. You know,
exactly. It's pandering.
But you know, if you're in that movement of like the Gay Pride movement, you should actually be pissed. Like you're literally trying to get us for 1 month our money, and then the other 11 months fuck us. And so like they should even be pissed. Like, listen, Budweiser, I can see is a lot of dudes who got pissed off that a dude in drag, basically. I don't believe this trans fuck that shit. You're a dude dressed as a fucking girl. That's what it is. And guys are like, fuck this, man. This used to be Bud Light, Budweiser, America, you know, blue jeans. They just stopped buying it. Target wasn't about men, it was about moms. Moms went in and saw this bullshit display of trans kids and all this. Moms, because guys don't go to Target as much as women. They just stopped going. And Target was like, oh, fuck. Once you get a woman to replace her shopping habits, it's different for guys because guys will be like, all right, you guys fucked up. In about a year, we're back to drinking Bud Light. You piss off a mom, she's probably she'll go to Walmart, she'll go someplace else, or what a lot of them will do, they'll just start shopping online even more, which hurts retail, you know, these brick and mortar shops. So yeah, I think this go broke. I mean, it's okay to have, like, I'm not bashing the woke ideology, but they need to understand is like, listen, there's a way to make your argument persuasive. There's a way to do it. And there's a way to answer questions when people ask you, because maybe they're actually trying to get educated what's in your head. But because you don't have the thought, you can't eloquently explain what the fuck is going on. You get pissed because your argument base is, I don't know, because most of those people, they're just going along with the flow. Like we just said, they don't know. You know, here's a perfect example when all of these kids, these high school, these college kids with Palestine and Israel, everyone's like, oh my God, look at how divisive this is. And these Jewish kids are just trying to go to school. And this is part of that woke ideology. These fucking kids didn't even know what was going on. They just wanted to chant free Palestine and free this. It's like, do you even know what happened? And most of them like, yeah, it doesn't matter. They're now Israel's being big meanies. What? Like the whole point is like you educate yourself on why you're doing this demonstration. Most of them are not educated. They're smart. Don't get me wrong. These kids are smart. They're book educated, which also now brings me to my next point. It's starting in school. This is where they're getting, it's not so
Like
much about
indoctrination.
it's now indoctrinating. They're being indoctrinated. And I think this went hand in hand with the feminist movement back in the day when we're trying to get moms or women pulled out of being the primary caregiver, pay taxes now and get your kid into education. And now we can indoctrinate these kids and psyops their fucking mind even more. I think this is what's actually going on. And to me right now, it's all about re-educating our kids. Just I remember in school, I'm a little bit older. I don't remember, we did pledge allegiance to the flag. We
Yeah.
did certain things. I don't consider that indoctrinating. I think that's being patriotic to your country. Now it's about re-educating them, taking courses off and putting in gender study courses. Kids don't fucking need to know this shit. How is this going to help them in life? It's not. They have this whole thing now with this need to feel safe trumps the need to speak truthfully. And this is where a lot of people, they can't speak truthfully over this idea of feel safe. Because if I speak my mind, some of these bastards, they'll probably try to kill you. Like they're nuts. I think a lot of them are fucking nuts. So it's a crazy world we live in, man. And I don't know what the right answer is. I think a civil war will fix a lot of this shit. But a lot of these guys with their soy milk lattes and shit. Well,
That's the problem is
they have
like
a little cleaning crew.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being woke, like in general. Like when you just talk about like the term being woke and what it means, and like if you look up what it means, like yeah, there's nothing wrong with bringing attention to minorities. There's nothing wrong with
No,
bringing attention to issues that we should be discussing. The problem is there's left extremists who have hijacked the whole thing. They've completely
absolutely.
hijacked the term, what it means, what they're pushing, and really like what it even means to be woke in general. Like a lot of people just
Mhm.
have a negative connotation on it now because there's those far left extremists who have just hijacked everything. And so that's the biggest issue here is understanding that like they see us as the enemy. They see people who are, white, male, conservative. They are the enemies. They've been oppressing us the whole time. And it's like, dude, I've never oppressed anybody in my life. What are you talking about? Like, I never did any of that shit. Like, you're talking about people who lived 200 years ago who were oppressing people. Like, I don't know who those people were. I don't know what they believed. I would not do the same thing, dude. I'm not having slaves. I'm not oppressing women. I'm in a loving relationship with my wife. I have my kids here all the time. Like I have traditional values, yes. But having traditional values does not make you the enemy. It doesn't make you a bad person. And that's the problem is like when I tell them that, I have traditional values, well, now I'm the enemy. Now I'm a misogynist. Now I'm an oppressor. And I'm like, holy crap, dude, nobody
Yeah.
said anything like that. And you won't listen to anything I have to say. That is a problem, is it not? I'm sorry. That is a problem, is it not? And so that's the biggest issue is the fact that everybody looks at it like I can't hear you out. Like, yeah, I'll hear you out. Like, you can totally tell me exactly what you believe. I will hear you out. And then I will tell you what I believe. And I expect to have a real conversation. Why do you got to get so pissed off and start gaslighting me and start calling me names? We can't even have a conversation. We can't even talk about this in a realistic way that actually gets us results, that actually gets us solutions. And so that's the problem is if I don't completely submit to your ideology, there's no solution to be had. Like you're the enemy. Yeah. We got to defeat you. What does that even mean? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? They can't even tell you in most cases.
Well, yeah, and I agree with all of that. But at the end of the day, what are they also trying to do? They're trying to do the same thing the other side is trying to do. Everybody's trying to get power. That's
Right.
it. Everybody is trying to consume get power and then retain that power. So when you have these places like Black Lives Matter, they were, at the point, I think they're pretty much done now because people now are seeing through that you guys are fucking scam artists. And even a lot of black people like, what have you ever done for us? But
Right.
they got power very quickly and they got politicians, they got big donors, and they funded this movement. But the people who actually started this movement were only the ones that actually made the money, lived this lavish lifestyle. And when it came up to their taxes because they were a not for profit, they got audited out through their taxes. And all of a sudden, oh no, we can't be doing anything illegal. This is a tax. The system is racist for even questioning our taxes. You can't do this. Like all of a sudden, once you start poking holes at these groups, so like, listen, you haven't helped anybody, you helped yourself. The very few got power. That's all. And so they're using the emotions of whatever thing they're doing, whatever movement they're doing. They're using all that emotion. That's why I always say attention is currency. All the attention of these young people create currency for this movement. Currency creates power, power creates money. This is what's funding this woke ideology. It's the people like George Soros, it's Kellogg Brothers to some degree. There's all these different big, huge billionaire companies. They're funding this, and they're funding it for various causes. And it's really a thing of like, let's throw this thing out and get all the people's attention over here while we do this over
Right.
here. That's kind of how I see this is happening. It's you
It's a
never
big
really
game.
understand why is this movement happening. It makes no sense, and then you take a mild view out and like they're trying to keep us fighting against each other, while the politicians, the very small minority of people, get more power because they create more laws on this ideology. Oh well, we can't have this. Like this is what's really happening, and people
It's a
need
game
to
of
understand
power.
you're fighting against each other. They're getting more powerful every time. They could give a shit about us. They really could.
Well, that's the big thing
It's
too, is understanding like where the economy is going. Like they stimulated the
yeah.
economy with $5 trillion they printed out of nowhere 3 years ago. That caused
Mhm.
inflation to soar. And now they had to jack up the interest rates so they can deflate the economy a little bit because that's their control. They
Yeah.
don't care if you lose your job. They don't care if you lose your house. They don't care if your family's on food stamps. They don't care about any of that stuff. They're playing the game of power. They don't even see you. They don't know you. They could care less about anything you have going on. All they care about is their bottom line. Even out of that $5 trillion, like that the regular people with their $1,200 checks, like that only equaled out to be 300 billion of that 5 trillion. So where do you think the other 4.7 trillion went?
Yeah.
It went to the rich CEOs. They got a huge bonus. They started investing even more. They got even more power, even more power, even more power.
Yeah.
And we, the small people, we pay for it. And that's the biggest thing, is understanding like it's this giant Game of Thrones, man. Like they're really just playing pawns. And so the more that they can stir up the system, the more the money flies around where they want it to fly, the more that they're trying to control this. And it is about for our attention. And so it's
Yeah.
understanding that attention is the driver with it all. Like the more attention somebody has, the more power they have. And so what do they have to do for attention? They have to pander to these groups that they need to give attention to. And so it's understanding that, oh, we're trying to bring attention over here. No, you're trying to get attention so you have the spotlight. That's exactly what's going on. It's really
Well,
all of this extremist stuff that's going on that gives this stuff a bad name. Like I said, just because we're against woke ideology for what it is, for what it's become, for what it really means, because of what it's been hijacked into, we're against these minorities, we're against gay people, we're against women equality. And it's like, that is not what is happening. They are gaslighting that stuff.
yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of it also is. I'm not saying the government is behind this, but they're using it as an advantage. Certainly, you're never going to waste. Why waste a good? What's that called? Why waste a good? Whatever the term is, I forget. So they're definitely using it. Like, okay, well, there's this group and all that. Kind of getting away from it because if most of this to me starts in school, and it's definitely in the universities
Sure.
where they're teaching Marxist ideology. They're teaching to a degree communism, but it's this
Feeling the
whole
burn.
Marxist idea and how now you have this equality of opportunity is now replaced with this equality of outcome. So that if everybody doesn't finish the race exactly at the same time, well, the race itself is racist. Fuck that the guy who won
Right.
the race was bigger, faster, stronger. That doesn't matter. Everybody is supposed to win. So the race itself is the
Fixed.
problem because everybody has to have the same thing. Now, I always tell people, in my opinion, like we're all equal. We all have the same opportunity, but that doesn't mean you're going to get the same outcome. If I
Right.
work harder than you, and I get promoted, it's not a racist thing. I worked harder. That's all it means. They're trying to say, no, the reason why you didn't get promoted, the reason why you as a race can't advance is because the whole system's rigged against you. Well, maybe you're fucking lazy. Maybe that's your problem. No, no, no. It's not that I'm lazy. Well, do you work 70, 80 hours like me? No. Huh. So again, it goes back to you're blaming and you're abducting your responsibilities. You're kicking the can of your life down the road for somebody else to fix. And this is where I see most of this wokeness come from. Like, just take stock of your life. And this is what we try to teach in the Magnetic Men Club. The very first thing I always tell people, what is it? It's your fault. Your girlfriend left you, it's your fault. You're fat, it's your fault. You're too thin,
Ownership.
it's your fault. You're poor, it's your fault. You're rich, it's your fault. If you're a badass and you have a fucking amazing family and you're kicking ass in life, that's your fault. If you suck at life and you absolutely have nothing going on with your life, no past or purpose, it's your fault. It's nobody else's fault for the successes or failures of your life. So this is the first thing I teach guys. I'm like, listen, you come into my program, don't come in with your woke bullshit because you're going to get kicked out of this real quick.
Right.
It's your fault. I don't care if you're gay. We just had a guy who was ashamed that he's like, well, I'm gay. I don't know if I should be in my group. But the first thing I text, like, dude, I love you either way. I don't care about that. But what I won't do is let somebody else badger you because you're gay. That's not what this is about. You're a man. We're all here on a mission. The mission is to level ourselves up. And if we can level ourselves up, i.e., clean our own porch off, then we're in a position to help somebody else help them clean their porch.
Right.
The whole woke ideology is, yeah, my porch sucks. My porch is fucking dirty. But you're the bigot. You're creating my porch. You're the racist. Well, I can't clean up my own porch. I'm going to tell you what you need to do to clean up your porch. Fuck what I'm doing. To me, that's what the logic is. There's no logic to what you guys tell us to do.
So that's
Now, do I
speaking
have
too.
empathy for some of them that want to dress like as women or they think they're squirrels or they're this weird shit? I have empathy for them. To me, it's a mental health disorder. But
It's
I'm not
not
gonna
reality. Like
I'm
it's
not
not.
gonna I'm not going to pretend you're a female when I know you're a male. It's not going to happen. Now, will I
You're
use
not in some
proper
fantasy
words in
land.
front of you? Of course I will. I'm not here to be a dick, but I'm not going to pretend like, yeah, yeah, you were Tim fucking last week. Now you're Beth. No, no,
I mean, I will
no.
treat my 5-year-old like that. I'm not going to treat some 25-year-old like that. Are you kidding me? Like, oh, you're some freaking fox. Like, what are you talking about? This is not reality. This is insane. You need to go talk to a therapist, man. I'm sorry, but you
Well,
do.
it's yeah, and I don't want to get too hung up on that, but it's like
Yeah,
you want us to pretend
exactly.
you want us to go into your reality, but it's not based in objective truth. It's subjective. In your subjective reality, you're the Queen of England. Fucking great. Have fun.
Awesome.
That's America. Great. You're the queen now. Awesome. But don't make everybody else pretend with you that you're the Queen of fucking England or you were a guy and you were a girl. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And then you get on this whole
It
thing of
doesn't help
people who
anything.
are privileged or oppressed. Now the whole system is, well, you're a white man, so you're privileged. You don't even get you don't even get the opportunity to state your opinion. You know how many times people told me that? I'm like, well, you're
Yes,
going to hear it anyway.
same.
And they come up with, oh, you're oppressed. Okay. So you're oppressed. Who's oppressing you in America right now? Well, I was descendants of slaves or this. I'm like, how are you being oppressed right now? Again, it's your fault. The where you are in your life right now is your fault. Where I'm at in my life is my fault. I run companies. I'm at 6 o'clock Eastern time talking to you guys live. I have 3 hours more of work after this. I'm not going out to go to a bar and drink and I have responsibilities, but the results that I've done in my life have gotten the results. The things I've done positively have gotten results where I'm profitable and I'm able to help people through my coaching, just like Chase does with his coaching and his systems. It seems to me that people who are woke have nothing going on in their life. Nothing.
See,
Like
here's
there's
the issue.
literally nothing going on.
Like here's the contrast, right? You could be a gay black woman, right? Maybe you're oppressed, maybe you're held back because of it, maybe it's because you're a minority, whatever. But I guarantee you, there is a gay black woman in a wheelchair who has done 3 times as much as you have.
Sure.
There's a gay black woman missing an arm who has done 3 times as much as you have.
Yep.
And so that's the biggest thing to understand is like it's not because of these things that you are oppressed. You are oppressed because you're not doing anything about it.
Right.
You are oppressed because you're not taking any ownership, and that's the issue. Like if I were to sit here and say, like Jordan Peterson actually said something similar to you. Like if your house is not in order, then you have no business going out there trying to reorganize the world, right?
Right.
And so that's the major issue is these guys think that they know more than the people who are actually in charge. And it's like, well, probably not. Like you're not educated into this. You have not dealt with the amount of stress that is required to run a business. Like there are certain things that you don't know. I promise you, if you were to win $1 million tomorrow, you would keep doing the same shit. The money would be gone. That's the issue is the fact that like you're not the person who should be out here reorganizing things and telling people how to live their lives. You should be telling yourself how to live your own life. You should take ownership of your own life and rise out of your situation yourself. You have no business out here telling other people how to conduct their lives. And on top of that, too, the thing is, too, is a lot of people out here saying that they're going to vote for Kamala Harris because she's black and she's a woman. Don't care about her politics. Don't care what she's like. She's black and she's a woman. I'm going to vote for her because of that. If I told you that I'm going to vote for Trump because he's white and a man,
right?
Now I'm the devil. Now I'm the demon. Now I'm spawn of Satan. It's like, dude, I said the same thing you just said.
Yep.
Literally, there's no in between at all. It's either you're with me and you agree with me, or you're completely against me and you're oppressing me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And whatever you vote for, I don't it is what it is. But the point is that I see with this culture is it's that victim mentality, and it goes back to education. This all to me started with education, public education, and then it spewed over into the universities. I don't think too many like Christian private educating, like my girlfriend's kids, they go to a private school. They're not, they're not having gender studies. They're talking about God. They're not, saying, yep, it's cool if you see Jimmy and he wants to come in here as Sally, we're going to say Sally. Fuck no, that's just not going to happen. It's a private school. They have the right to do that. But to me, they're getting the correct education. They're getting educated on family values. They're getting educating on religion. Now, whether they stick with being like Roman Catholic or being Baptist, it doesn't matter. There's a structure there. A lot of this woke idea, there's no structure. So you're like this feather in the wind, like, oh, well, this person's being oppressed. Let's go over here and hold a sign and sit in the road and get fucking run over like a bunch of retards, but you don't even know why. You're not educating yourself on there. There's no grounding effect for you. So at least when people say, "Oh, well, these kids in Catholic schools, they're getting, they're getting brainwashed into God." Well, at least they're getting brainwashed into something that's positive. You're not getting brainwashed into shit. You're getting brainwashed into the dumbest stuff that unicorns can fly, everyone's perfect, everyone's equal. Like, no. You got to understand, it's not that long ago America was in a civil war. And I'm not saying this because I'm sure we'll get to the platform like this. We're getting really close to that. This country with this us against them attitude is getting really close to a point where something's going to give. And I just would rather be on the side that has the guns and the traditional values than the woke side. I really would, because I know a lot of dudes in the military. I used to be in one, and I'm with those dudes because I know how to fire fucking every weapon there is. I'm not saying that as a threat. What I'm saying it is like
Oh man, yeah.
I feel it. Like you feel this tension, like you just can't say something to this person. I'd rather just punch you in the face now because you can't even listen to me. You can't, oh, you're a
Yeah.
racist. I'd rather just punch you and not fucking stop because I don't know what else to do with you. Like you coming after me all this time. You're telling me I'm toxic masculine, I'm white, and I have no rights anymore, or I can't say this. You can't, we're the ones who are getting pushed. Like we can't do anything
Can't even
anymore. How do you think this is going to work out for you guys in the end? It's not going to work out very well. Everyone needs to calm down. Everybody needs to listen. And you can also agree to disagree with somebody. Like, listen, cool. Like, I get what you're saying. I'm
We
not going
don't
to
have to
crush you,
agree.
but this is where I'm at. And you're damn sure not going to fucking tell me I have to change. And I
Right.
think this is where I think it's kind of coming back a little bit. I really do. I think it's coming back to norm, at least for the general population. You're going to have these fringes of morons out there. And yes, they get highlighted a lot on social media, but I
It's just
promise
loud.
you, they're very small. They're a very small subsect of actually what's going on.
They're just the
Take it
loud
for what
ones.
it is. Huh?
They're just the loud ones. They're just louder than everybody else, and that's the problem. That's
Right.
not what everybody believes. You can't pigeonhole everybody into that. Like obviously, the right has their extremists who are talking. The left has
Absolutely the
their
right
extremists
does.
who are talking. They're just the loudest people.
Yeah.
Not everybody in between believes that. We are all somewhere in the middle. It's not either this or either that. I'm not extreme right or extreme left. I am somewhere in the middle, just like everybody else. And we don't have to agree with each other. We can let this simmer down and we can have real constructive conversations in everyday life. We don't have to believe what the far left thinks, what the far right thinks. We can all be somewhere in the middle and believe a little bit of what these guys believe a little bit of what they believe, and hear each other out on these arguments.
Yeah. So, yeah, a lot of this also has, in my opinion, I don't want to get too much in this. It's just there's just a loss of religion. There's a loss of faith in this country. And once you lose that faith, once you lose that component, everyone says God bless America. I don't think God's blessing America anymore. I think God's letting America. You're turning away from me. I'm turning away from you, and you're starting to see in real time the collapse of America that used to be a place where everybody wanted to come to. But it also used to be a place that you want to come here, you need to assimilate, you know? And it all started too as like, oh, I'm Latino American, I'm African American. No, you're fucking American. Stop with this bullshit. You're
Yeah,
American. If you come here and you speak Spanish, dude, speak English. I don't need to learn your fucking. I didn't come to your country. You came to mine. Learn my fucking language. And people are like, oh, that's a dumb, that's a racist thing to say. I'm like, why? That
you're
you're
gonna
here.
struggle uphill the whole time. You don't know
I
English in
don't,
America, dude. You're gonna struggle. Like it's just
but
reality.
but it's like you're coming to this country. You need to learn to assimilate and realize we're all Americans now. You might not agree with me 100%, but we got to figure it out because
Yeah,
this is a melting point. And what used to keep it is religion. Religion, to at least a degree, kept all different ideologies together because it was still under one main religion. You could be, you could have been Roman Catholic, you could have been Baptist, you could have been Protestant, you could have been in the Jewish faith, but all of those religions seem to just be kind of gone now. Like they're
right.
just not as prevalent as they used to be.
Oh, you're either
And you have
Christian,
it,
Muslim, or nothing. Pretty much. Like that's pretty much what
but
I'm.
then there's
What it
also
boils down
that
to.
decline of. There's also been this decline of civic organizations. I mean, like we talked about the Boy Scouts. Now girls have to be part of the Boy Scouts, so now there's no space specifically for a boy to grow up with other boys, with learning how to do things. That's gone now. I remember there's all these different clubs when I was a kid. That's gone now. Even like chess club, things like that. All these little organizations, they're gone.
Yeah.
You can also blame a lot of this on drugs, the opioid crisis. That's another reason why this
Yeah.
wokeness happens, because a lot of these, not saying all people that are in the woke ideology are on drugs, but a lot of them are, they got to be on drugs for thinking a fucking guy can be a girl and thinking they're okay with that. You got to be on some kind of drug. I think, like, you clearly you're on drugs for some of the shit you think about. You also have a collapse of American industries. You can't get a decent job anymore. They
Right.
pushed for so long in the 70s. Oh, don't become a blue collar worker. Don't get a trade. No, go to college. Okay. So I went to college. I got my degree back in the 70s. That worked, but now there are no American industries. There's nothing I can do. So now the trades are sexy again because everybody needs shit fixed. Everyone needs shit built. But these young kids, they've never been taught that. A lot of them are kind of lazy. They're not good with their hands. Maybe they are, they just don't know it. But there's nothing to ground them. And now you have the advent of big tech and social media coming in that are basically dulling them down to 7-second shorts. This is how they live, 7-second shorts. So it's no
Right.
wonder why they bounce from one woke ideology to another one, because they're bored of this one. We're bored over here. Oh, let's do this one. And they just keep their attention. Again, attention is currency. So as long as their attention is on some new thing, some people are making money on that. Some people are gaining power, but the masses aren't.
Right. Exactly. Like we give the power away to them. Like in fact, masses have less power than they ever have.
Yeah.
Mostly because they keep giving their attention to this, to this, to this. They're not actually building and coming together. That's why they want to keep you separated, because it makes you a lot more controllable and it makes your attention a lot more controllable. If they can stir you up over here and stir you up over here and get you two fighting against each other against the one thing that they want to make money from, that's what all this stuff is about. It's understanding that, like, when these guys are boycotting these guys are over here supporting it. These guys forget they're boycotting it. Now these guys have all this free attention. And so they start making money. Like, that's really what it comes down to, is the fact that, like, all the powers that be up top, they make more and more and more and more while we're all fighting down here. And we all can't live. We all don't have our houses. We all can't find good jobs. We have to work 2-3 jobs to get by. That's exactly what they wanted from us.
Yep.
That's what they got. Yeah. Because we're fighting each other.
Yeah, it's sad because you can keep going on and on. Like, what else prompted this? A lot of these kids that go, they're lonely, and so you get power in a group, you get meaning in a group.
Right.
They get their meaning this way. So we always talk about how do you kind of get your basic needs met. Well, if I join this group, even though they're kind of radical and they're saying save the trees, or we're all going to go into a climate change now is the next big buzzword, and they all stand in a road and get run over, they get meaning from that because they're part of this group. Now, that was done in the 60s and 70s when Vietnam was going on, where so this is not new. But again, the people who run these things, they understand how this works. And if they can get people's emotions engaged, people will defend what they believe, and they don't give a fucking thing about the truth.
Yep.
And this is why it happens. So as long as if I'm challenging your beliefs with facts, it doesn't matter. It doesn't work that way. And so this is why you get these sides clashing, because I have my opinion, which is backed by my facts. Well, I'm using facts that I conveniently find for my position. They're doing the same thing. And you're right. The government, the powers that be, the matrix, whatever you want to call it, they know this. They just know all they have to do is start something, and then they'll finish it themselves.
Yep.
I invite you guys, if you are on the left, you're on the right, whatever it is, you're watching this, just take a step back and say, hey, the things that you believe, if you truly believe them, that's great. But you should be able to back up your beliefs with logic and
Why do you
facts,
believe it?
not just buzzwords that you heard somebody else say.
Yeah. Why do
A lot
you
of it,
believe it?
a lot of that is just buzzwords, and the right does the same thing. There's this whole thing, and I'll leave it this in the Olympics that, as an Argentina boxer and an Italian boxer, the girls, it's all over social media now. And I posted it, and I get these, they look pretty liberal. They look, pretty weak. I'm sure any of those girls could have beat the shit out of these guys, no problem. But they kept saying, well, she was a woman. She's a woman. I'm like, well, no. They sent me all these facts. I'm like, did you read this? It just says she's born with XY chromosomes, yet she has a vagina. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, that she's born with a vagina, but she has XY chromosomes. So her biological markers mean she has higher testosterone. And you can physically look at
Statistical
her
advantage.
and you can tell she has a lot of manly features. You can physically look at her. She's got more bone structure. Like, oh yeah, but other girls beat her up in the past. That doesn't matter. The idea is for the boxing federation is it's biological women against biological women.
It's just not
You
fair.
can't be a biological woman if you have XY chromosomes. You technically are a male. I don't care if you were born with a hermaphrodite. I don't care if you were born with genitalia of a female. You're still technically a male.
Well,
So she
it's about
cannot be boxing. And then people are like, well, what should she be doing? Like, look at, I'm sorry, like God, like that's a unique one. I get it, but you shouldn't be fighting girls and you probably shouldn't be fighting guys because like don't fight. I don't know. Like I don't have to every specific person. We don't have to like, oh my God, let's create this for you. Look at life sucks sometimes. It just does.
it comes back to staying grounded in reality. You can throw technicalities at it all day, every day, all you
Yeah.
want. Yeah, I mean, you could prove this point, prove that point, prove this point, prove that point. But let's strip all that away for a minute and just look at things logically, grounded in reality, right? And so that's really what all this stuff comes down to. I'm not going to tell you what to believe on one side or the other. I don't really care, honestly. Most of the time, I just want to avoid that stuff.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like, can you strip all that away and just look at this logically? Just look at this as a logical person and say, okay,
Yeah.
this person's going to have a statistical advantage, no matter where you put them. Like they're going to have a statistical advantage, and that's unfair to all these other people. This is fair, that's unfair, this isn't fair, that's like, and we can argue this on either side all day, every single day. But at the end of the day, we've got to be logical with things. We've just got to be grounded in reality and say, okay, this is probably what's going to happen if we do this. This is probably what's going to happen if we do that. And let's let the powers that be logical and stop trying to pander to these people. Stop trying to pander to these people. And let's have a real discussion with both sides. Let's come together and realize, okay, I believe a little bit of what you believe. I can understand why you believe that. I see your point of view. Now you need to listen to me and hear my point of view and understand me too. And so that's the biggest thing is like, we got to come back together and start understanding each other again and have that disposition, right? To say, okay, like I can believe a little bit of what you believe and agree with you on certain things and then disagree with you on these things. It's okay if I agree with you on these things and disagree with you on these things. And it's okay if you disagree with me on this and agree with me on that. And that's okay. And we can coexist and we can fight for what we believe in, but it doesn't make you my enemy. That's the biggest thing is like, we aren't enemies just because we don't completely agree with each other.
Right.
That's what I would leave you with on this, honestly.
Guys, we don't want to take up too much more of your time, but we do have Chase. I'm gonna let you talk a little bit more about it because we're really close. That app's live, and we have a special offer that I want you to talk about. I think the link's down below. We were talking just briefly about in the Facebook, the free stuff. We got to be careful about what we say, but in our private app, I don't got to fucking sugarcoat anything, and I don't. And so if you are looking to get more closer into brotherhood, more closer into specific issues for men, our mental health, what's going on in the world, we got to be very careful about what we say in Facebook. So we use Facebook kind of as an incubator, kind of get people in there. But the ones that are serious, the ones that really want to make some change, you need to get into our app. And Chase is going to talk about that, how to get into it. If you're looking for even more support, like specific one-on-one coaching, then you can go to a link down below to the website. You can apply. I don't take everybody just because I'm very busy. But the app, the brotherhood that we have associated with the app, is probably going to do more good for you long term than one-on-one coaching anyway, because you don't just get coaching and then you're done. That's just not how it works. I want you guys to join a community where we can literally say anything we want as long as we're not, hurting other people or talking about hurting people. We're not going to allow that. But it is an app that you can talk about. We can talk about deeper issues in there, and we can do it without the fear of being deplatformed, because it's something Chase and his wife actually created. They can't take it away. It's his software. So Chase, talk about that.
That's the biggest thing, is understanding that Facebook is censoring you, it's censoring us. YouTube is censoring you and censoring us, because Facebook and YouTube have to pander to these small groups and these minorities, right? So they have to keep everybody happy. That's why we created our own platform, because we wanted to have a place where we could have topical discussions and have real discussions where we don't have to censor ourselves, and we can talk about real things that men care about. And it is a men's only space, which we can't do on Facebook, we can't do on YouTube. We have to allow everybody, just like the Boy Scouts now. And so we wanted to create our own space where it could be men's only, where we could have our own space where we can talk about men things and the things that we care about and not have to censor ourselves. And so that's what this really is. That's just one aspect of this. You can jump in there and you can log your activities. You can create your profile around exactly what you care about, what your mission is, what you're trying to do in life. There's a lot of other features inside of this app that you can utilize. All of our courseware is in there too. The best way to get access to it is our Brotherhood membership. And if you guys want to join the Brotherhood, you can click the link that we just posted below. And as soon as you get in there, you're going to get, as soon as you make the payment on that link, you're going to get immediate access to the app. You're going to get an email. You're going to be able to log in. You're going to be able to get into those discussions immediately. There's no wait time. You don't have to wait for somebody to approve you or anything like that. You're just in there and you can start talking immediately. And so that's the biggest thing, is understanding that weekly we are going to start doing live calls inside of this app as well, where you guys can actually join us live face to face, and we can have face to face discussions. We can talk in the forums. We can have messaging back and forth. You can talk to me or Jared about anything that you're struggling with. And if you guys wanted to buy additional one-on-ones to have one-on-one coaching, we have options in there for that too. But the biggest thing is understanding that we wanted to make something that was affordable for everybody to jump in and start having these conversations with us. We have to obviously pay for our development costs. We have to pay for what we do here, everything we give away for free, which is a lot of stuff. We've given you guys a ton of value. You guys can keep getting this free content. You guys can keep showing up for these hangouts every Friday. If you don't want to pay anything, you can get into our Facebook group and you can have all the free discussions you want inside of there. We obviously have women inside the Facebook group, and so you got to be mindful of that everybody who cares about these traditional values, cares about men's issues, we're all in there having these positive discussions inside of that group. So make sure you get in there if you want to be in there. That's all completely free. But if you want to have discussions between us just as men, you want to have uncensored, unfiltered discussions inside of there, then that's what our Brotherhood membership is for. And obviously, like I said, we've got to pay for our development costs. We've got to pay for us to live. We've got to eat. We've got bills to pay here too. And so make sure you get in there. We've got a special deal for you guys. Let us know if you want to get in. Let us know below. Comment. I'll make sure you guys get the link, and we'll make sure you guys get in there, and we can start having these conversations. But with that, that's all we've got for you guys this week. We're probably not going to be here next week, just to let you know that beforehand. We'll definitely make sure that we are in the group and communicating with you guys, but make sure you get inside the app. We'll make sure we're going to start having those weekly conversations face-to-face inside of Zoom, inside of there as well.
Yeah, guys, remember too, inside the app on those those calls that we do, they won't be YouTube, and they're just for us.
Not broadcast.
So I don't want you guys to think, oh my God, well, they're going to use our content. No, it's for the paid members only in that app to access. So guys, I just want to let you guys know on that one, but we took up enough time. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend, and we will not be here next Thursday, but get into the app. There's a ton of information. There's tons of videos in there that aren't on YouTube. I've never posted them on YouTube. There's courseware in there.
Yep.
So what you pay for, it's peanuts into how much it costs to create this and the value you're going to get. I promise you. And we keep putting in more content. Literally every week I put in. I got probably 4 videos I'm going to drop in there here soon. So with that, we won't take up any more time. Have an amazing weekend. Get into the app. If you're trying to really level up your life, you're really trying to get into